All right, you know who my next guest is? Jordan Leavitt, who picked up another big win this past Saturday, this time over Matt Sayles in the second round via inverted triangle choke. Jordan, how are you?
Huh? You kind of just said it. I'm feeling pretty good, feeling pretty fancy.
Yeah, that's the third ever inverted triangle choke in UFC history. So that's got to be pretty special to you. How did that all come about, man? Explain how the that actual submission presented itself.
Well, my arms were tired because I was trying to squeeze his head off the first round, and then we got to my corner, and I'm like, my arms are a little shaky. I'm like, I'm gonna have to take a little bit first 30 seconds of the next round off. And they're like, well, change levels, get close, change levels, wait for him to kind of get the blood flowing again. So I let him get a little bit closer, try to counter some elbows, and then he shot on me, and that was pretty nice. And I was like, okay, cool, work's done for me. So he went to slam me off the cage, and I was prepared because when you win your first UFC fight by slamming somebody, the karma's gonna get back to you somehow. So he went to slam me, and I kind of blocked his legs with my hooks, and he took me down. And they always let go and post their hand into the mat, and yeah, lost the triangle, and that's all she wrote.
Yeah, I mean, you just seem like you're on another level on the ground than a lot of these fighters. I mean, even Michael Bisping was saying that, but he also said too in the beginning of the first round that this is a striker versus a grappler. This is what this fight is. And you said afterwards that you're trying to shake that I guess image of yourself, that you're not just a grappler, that you can do it all. Did you have a game plan of maybe wanting to stand and trade with him in this fight, or are you just going to kind of go wherever the fight led itself to be?
He was more patient than I thought. He's always kind of rushed into things right away, his last few fights. So when he kind of was very patient, like lowering levels, feinting on the outside, I wasn't gonna like rush into like his kill zone, kind of thing. So I knew I was safe all the way out in the open. I knew I was safe when we were chest to chest. So I kind of just annoyed him with some kicks and some knee stomps, but that made me take a bad shot, and then I kind of had to do some weird front headlock defense, turn him against the fence, and that worked. But that's why in between rounds, like corners, like, you box for a reason, you should be comfortable in the pocket. So I let him get a little bit closer of his punches, which is a little bit more nerve wracking for me because I very rarely, luckily, I haven't really gone to the second round very often in my fights. So I'm never used to drawing them in. I usually try to rush things and get the finish, and I'm out of there. So my corner is like, I had to trust them. They're like, you could defend it, just let them get a little bit closer, and the opportunities will present themselves. And my favorite sequence is not even the finishing sequence. I throw an elbow, I hit him, I grab a clinch, and I almost punt his head off of a high kick, and I miss it by that much. So I was going to try to stand and strike a little bit, but, luckily in the second round, he kind of took that out of the equation for me.
Yeah, I rewatched the fight a little bit before this interview, and one of the things that stood out to me, I wanted to just get your take on if there's something that you do to train this. But you have really incredible balance. I mean, you threw a kick early on in the first round, he caught it, and he had you right there. You just kind of stood there and balanced on your foot and were able to stay on your feet. What do you do to train that? Because you do see a lot of kicks getting caught more and more nowadays. Is there something specific that you're doing to just kind of increase your balance?
That's just a lot of years of yoga. And then I was like that weird kid at the playground who would tightrope walk the little fence around the playground that's like an inch wide. I've always liked to test my balance, and I have a lot of agility. I'm pretty flat-footed, but I have a lot of agility, and a lot of coordination and everything. Should have been a gymnast, but it's too late now. But yeah, he was really good at catching the kicks. It was a little unnerving because he would block them and then catch them. So I wasn't even hitting them and then he was catching them. He would block, parry, catch. And I was like, okay, that's pretty smooth. But yeah, he was definitely, I could feel him trying to pull me into a right hand off the kicks. So I just did nothing. I kind of just stood there. I'm like, oh, you'll let go. I'm not going to make you let go. You'll drop this or I'll fall to my back. I'll be where I want to be, kind of thing. But yeah, he had a lot of interesting looks. It was a lot of fun.
And you almost got him out of there in the first round too. Was that submission, was that pretty close? Did you feel like you had it tight enough to get the job done?
I thought he was dead. I had him for 90 seconds. I thought he was dead the first 5. And I just hear Chris Curtis in my corner. He's like, don't burn out your arms. Don't burn out your arms. And then right after that, my jiu-jitsu coach, Shane Shapiro, he's like, he's going out, squeeze. So I kind of had these two people on my shoulder tell me the opposite thing. So I squeeze, and I squeezed for way longer than I should have. And he just was very good at stopping his shoulders from going and cutting out those carotids. So my arms are tired, but I definitely knew his neck was tired from resisting. So,
Yeah,
you know,
I can imagine. And what a great card to be on. I mean, so many finishes. I believe this event tied a UFC record for most finishes in the history of the promotion. Did you feel yours was good enough to get a performance bonus? I know you didn't get one, but you must have been in consideration, I would think.
yeah, you'd think so. Yeah, 2 TKOs got the bonus, which is rare, but I mean, am I a little sad that the week before they gave 6 bonuses out? And was I expecting a little bit of, that love? But yeah, no, the UFC takes care of me, and I'll get more fancy submissions, and maybe there will be less. And I went first. So, like I went first, had a fancy submission. It kind of gets drowned out by all these knockouts and the guy humping somebody's face and Derek Lewis's antics. So I kind of get pushed back into, you know, but I wasn't really center stage. So, I can't really blame them for maybe overlooking me, but they take care of me. And I'm pretty sure I'll get a fancy submission the next fight, or fancy, maybe knockout, maybe another knockout. And the bonuses will come. I don't focus too much on the bonuses. I just go out there and perform how I do, and I do weird stuff. So statistically speaking, I know eventually I'll get some more bonuses.
Do you enjoy fighting early on in the card? Because the more that you win, the later you will fight. Eventually, I imagine you'll be on a main card, so you'll be one of the last fights of the evening. Do you enjoy, though, getting it out of the way early? Because I have to imagine if I was in your shoes, I'd be so amped up and nervous that I'd want to get in there and just be one of the first fights.
Yeah, I like going first because then you know exactly what time you're walking out to the octagon. If you have several like early finishes, or you have several like all decisions before you, like it could push back your report time by like an hour. So I really like knowing like, okay, I'm walking at 103, 103. So basically warmed up until like 101, and then I rested for 2 minutes and we walked out. So I liked walking out first. A lot of times you watch fights beforehand because they broadcast the fight into every room of the Apex. And you may see someone do something like, oh, maybe I'll try that. And then knocks you out of your game plan. Maybe you start thinking about things you shouldn't be thinking about doing. So I'm lucky that I was the first person, no distractions, in and out. And yeah, I prefer to fight early. It was weird getting home at like 2:30 on a fight day for me. Like I was already home eating cheesecake with my family. So it was nice to get home early.
I noticed too that you had some bruising from some cupping on your back. I'm sure that is just to kind of help get yourself back to 100% or as close to it as you can before the fight. How much does that benefit you in recovery to prepare for a fight?
It's nice to feel a little bit more comfortable on like weight cut week, especially because that's the only week where I'm not training like balls to the wall. Like I may be trained like 10 hours on like fight week. So it was nice to be able to get physical therapy every day, get some like tension worked out to, get to nurse some owies and then to get ready to go out there. The PI definitely, me being a local, living in Vegas, I feel, I do not envy a lot of the fighters who live out of town and don't have access to all the care.
Yeah, it must make it a lot easier being there local. Now, it's been a while since I have spoken with you, Jordan. The last time prior to this fight that we saw you in the octagon, you lost to Claudio Puelles there, a UD loss. I believe that was in June. What did you take away from that loss? Is there something significant that you can really point towards that you can work on to just make yourself even more dangerous inside the octagon next time?
I went into that fight and then like I was like looking on paper. I'm like, on paper he has nothing. He's not a danger to me. So like when you go out there and you just expect to be better, you may not fight like the better person. So like I just expected to eventually finish him. So I had absolutely no urgency. I wasn't like gassed. I just didn't even like. I was just complacent. And I'm like, oh, he's gonna make a mistake eventually, but he was very smart on just being tight and being willing to like do what he had to do. Not give me space, not try to hurt me. So yeah, I have to go out there. I have to force things to happen. I have urgency, and I have to. I can't just be better on paper. I have to be better on fight night. So I have to go out there and do stuff. And so it was nice. It was a nice wake up call. I mean, no one likes to lose. Half the paycheck was frustrating, but it was a nice wake up call to know that I have to force things to happen. And this fight, I definitely had a lot more urgency. I wrote out positions more. I just a lot more comfortable. I wasn't just going for the finishes. I was trying to win the positions, and finishes present themselves when you fight smart. So I'll try to be smarter for the rest of my career.
Claudio won again most recently. I can't remember who it was against, but he looked impressive and he got a finish. Is that a rematch that you hope to get down the line, or do you really not care about, avenging losses?
Oh man, I always want to avenge a loss. I'm embarrassed about that fight. I hate looking bad. That's the vainness in me talking. I don't like looking bad. So losing the decision definitely irks me, but also realistically speaking, I'm in the UFC lightweight division. Rematches very, very rarely happen because there's so many of us. And, like he's now on a 4-fight win streak and I'm now just 2-1. And I'm just, I come off my first loss. So statistically, like if he keeps doing well, I have to keep doing well and I have to catch up to him. And the division's so stacked and so, rankings are so tightly contested. Like it might take me a while to get that. So I know if I search for it, I'm probably not going to get it. But I would love that rematch sooner rather than later. But I think I'm going to have to wait for that one because just the reality of this division and how slowly things work. But yeah, I want that fight a lot. Like if he fights in Vegas and his opponent drops out last minute, I was dieting on his fight week. I was prepared to do something last minute. Nice little storybook moment for me, but I like him a lot. I learned a lot from that fight, and he taught me a nice lesson. But I would definitely like to get pay him back.
All
Teach him
right.
something, teach him a thing or two. But eventually, I would like to get that rematch. But we both do well, it'll happen.
Well, we'll see what the future holds here. Now, as far as during the holidays, we got Christmas right around the corner now and New Year's. Are you going to be sticking to your diet and staying in camp, or are you going to be, letting yourself have a little bit of fun and cheat a little bit with the diet?
Well, I hurt my ankle this fight, so I'm on medical suspension for a little bit. Um, yeah, you say anything hurts, they're like, nope, can't train. So next time I'm gonna lie, but hurt my little foot kicking an elbow or a face or something. So I have to take this week off, but I would love to fight like mid-February, March. I plan on going back to the gym full time right after Christmas. So yeah, I want to fight 4 times next year. That's one of my goals. And yeah, February, then June, then September, then December. That's when I'm kind of putting out into the universe, what I'm praying for. So I want to fight soon. I like to fight. I like to have a goal in mind.
That's awesome, man. So that's exciting for the fans out there that want to see you stay as active as possible. Is there a name that you feel like makes the most sense for you next, or someone that you'd like to fight? I mean, we already talked about Claudio. If that fight, doesn't come to fruition immediately, who else stands out that you'd like to get in there with?
Oh, I never really think too much. I kind of just like try to prepare. I just try to like be ready and then have like my manager and agent like figure that out because I I don't follow. It sounds bad. I don't really follow the division too closely. I feel oftentimes I feel like if I watch like lightweights around my ranking, it gives me anxiety. Like before I fought Claudio, they were talking about if I beat Claudio, I had a good chance of fighting Patty Pimlet. So I was like, okay, I'll just fight Patty. Like that's what I was thinking about Patty. In my mind, he was the more more dangerous opponent. And then I lost, and I was like, dang it, maybe I should have been focusing on the nice, Peruvian kid on a win streak who is really good. And I just try not to look too far ahead. I try to, you know, focus on what's presented to me. But if I had to think about the rankings and what's happening, I think Gutsmacher. I think Claudio just beat him. I'd like to fight Kazula Vargas if possible. Um, yeah, those people are around my record, like either 1-2 or 2-1. I think that makes sense. I'm not one for. I think it's ridiculous in fighters that are way lower ranked call it someone much higher ranked, like be a man and fight this nobody. But definitely fight some people around me in the rankings. I'm not. Those are 2 people I know that are generally around me in the rankings right now, and they have a similar UFC record. But yeah, all respect to them. They could totally say no, and I will not lose sleep over it. And whatnot. But I would like to fight, and those are two people I know that are around, where I'm at.
Okay, good enough. Well, I definitely can't wait to see you back in the octagon, and hopefully it is in February or maybe even sooner. Now, I can't do an interview with you and not get a book recommendation. The last time that we did excuse me, that we did speak, you told me to get this book. It was the Courage to Be Disliked.
Oh, great book.
So I took your advice. I got it. It's fantastic. So I need another piece of advice. What book do you recommend for 2022?
Ooh, book to recommend. Dang, that makes me so happy that you picked it up. Groggins is Can't Hurt Me. It's really good. They came out with a clean version. If like an F-bomb every 4 seconds doesn't bug you. So Can't Hurt Me, Born to Run. What else? Yeah, definitely those two books. If you like Courage to Be Disliked, I guess those two books would be a very good pick. But Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins and Goggins. Dang, that's embarrassing. And and Born to Run. That's about ultra runners. Definitely two really good books to pick up.
Okay, very good. I think the David Goggins book is right up my speed, so I'll look into that one next. Well, Jordan, congrats on the win, man. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Before I let you go, I want to give you the floor. Tell people where to follow you on social media, and if you have anyone to thank, any sponsors, the floor is yours.
You can follow me at Monkey King _UFC because I'm shadow banned right now. You have to do it perfectly to find me. Or Mr. Jojo Monkey King on Twitter, where they haven't punished me yet.